In this section of the course, we'll be focusing in much more detail on map design and cartography. You'll see information here from your textbook, as well as quite a few diagrams and slides that come with the tutorial manual, and we'll be able to explain some of the cartographic principles and processes that you'll be using in the rest of the course. The chapter has several objectives that relate to the basics of cartography and map design: understanding the core components of the cartographic process, understanding the basic graphic variables of map symbolization, recognizing thematic maps of different types, identifying the purpose of thematic maps, interpreting maps within each type of thematic map category, understanding the data requirements of different thematic map types, recognizing maps that depict data in inappropriate or otherwise misleading ways, understanding the implications of data categorization for what maps show, and selecting the most appropriate map type to represent a given set of data. In this first slide set, we'll just deal with the cartographic process and some of the basic graphic variables of map symbolization that relate to the cartographic process. This diagram is part of your textbook in Chapter 3, and I want to draw your attention to the four main points in bold. First of all, on the left, the map user, versus on the right, the map maker. So really what we're doing is making decisions that are intended to help the map user in the end. It's not just about the map maker and what the map maker wants to do. We're mapping out a real or imagined environment. We're representing that environment through symbolization and the process of designing maps, and the result is then to make an actual map that can be in various forms: a static paper map, a map on the screen, a dynamic map, and so on. Your textbook gets into much more detail about some of the ways in which these various processes then relate to the map making process, and much of the lecture for the next several slide sets basically relates to different components of the pieces in this diagram. Under the category of map abstraction, there are several major points that we want to make. Selection, classification, simplification, exaggeration, symbolization, and graphic variables are all factors that are important in the way that we deal with mapping. The first one of these is selection. The simple question is what should be included and what should be left out. We can't put everything on a map, and it doesn't make any sense to put everything we could put on the map, so we ask ourselves four basic questions: where, when, what, and why. The example here is from your textbook, and it shows how selection has been made to emphasize traffic patterns in this particular map, which is a mobile application. Under the category of classification, this is the simple process of grouping things into categories or classes. In this case, we're seeing two examples here of different ways of symbolizing maps that both basically classify cancer as a theme and put it into a thematic map. Anytime we group things into categories, whether we're doing it numerically or doing it through other ways, we're doing the act of classification. Simplification involves four different processes: deletion, smoothing, typification, and aggregation. Under deletion, we're making decisions about facts that we want to leave out of the map. So for example, the map on the left shows all the cities over a certain size in the western US, and the one on the right has taken the smaller ones out in order to simplify the map. And we're deleting then the information that's not necessary. Under exaggeration, the purpose of this map is to show state highways. This one's from the 1950s, and the point of it is not to show the actual width of the highways. You wouldn't use this for an engineering drawing, but it's exaggeration to emphasize their location. A major part of what we do in map making relates to symbolization. This has to do with how we actually symbolize the features that we're putting on a map. Your textbook identifies basic graphic variables, also known as display primitives, and we use some of the basic rules of graphic design and apply it to a mapping environment. We'll get much more into detail on this in the next slide set, and this concludes the slides for the first group of slides.